It's time to talk about the revolution. So, this is part of a four-part series of what I'm calling informational basics. So, we had the metaphysical basics, and we had the spiritual implications, and now I'm getting into the revolution. And I'm calling this series Informational Basics because this is the vocabulary so that we can start speaking. We have to know what some of these words are. We have to kind of get on the same page with some of these things, not just in terms of terminology or concept, but actually in terms of energetic attunement. Because that's really how we most efficiently communicate is through our energy. And in my interest in communicating with you, with others about these things, I feel the need to go over some of these topics so that we have this shared basics. And it does come with the caveat that anything that we put into language is going to be somewhat limited. Language reduces the intention and it translates it. And in that translation process, to put it into something that I can then offer to you, that you then take and understand in your own way and in your own world based on your own experiences, that's going to mean a different thing for you than it might have meant for me in the first place, and vice versa. So there are inherent challenges with language, but we're using it anyway. There are inherent challenges with the idea of information, but we're going to use it anyway. So we've talked about the metaphysical basics for just a very quick review. All things are energy and vibration. Everything is a part of one thing. Everything is connected. Also, time is a construct. All time is now. That's a real quick review. Check out the metaphysical basics video or my blog post at revolutionaryalignment.com for more details there. Then we talked about what are the spiritual implications of those metaphysical basics. So that means once we kind of look at those metaphysical facts of what reality is, what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our sense of self and meaning and purpose in the world? So I talked through some of those spiritual implications that makes sense to me. You know, it's like when we know that we're all connected, how do we treat each other? I feel like love is an inevitable spiritual implication when we know that we're all connected. Inherent worthiness starts to seem more reasonable when we know that we're not separated from the source of all things. The energy of abundance, we're understanding that as like, this is real, this is true. How does this change our economy? How does this change our sense of trading our time for money, trading work for value when we are inherently valuable? So it raises a lot of questions, and certainly the video, the podcast episode, and the blog cannot address or even ask all of the questions that would arise in an individual's mind and heart as they're going through this revolutionary journey, which is part of the beauty of it. I am happy to share what things come up for me and what things did come up for me at different points in my revolutionary journey. And I truly would love to hear what's coming up for you and what has come up for you and where you're at in your journey. I feel that we are all going through this now to one degree or another. So this is happening. These things are happening. So the revolution is the point on the journey at which we turn around. We've been walking our whole lives, my whole life, throughout history, we have this constructed reality that isn't based on these metaphysical truths, that really doesn't know and act on the knowing of the spiritual implications there. So this whole world that we're living in, our sense of self, our sense of value, meaning in the world, it's very unstable. Because truth is true, and for something to be built outside of that truth, it doesn't really have, there's not anything there. Like truth is what is, and we can have an idea of denial of that or absence of that, and we can even create that, you know, like we can create a play together, like we can put on costumes and play characters and believe it, get really into it, and we have believed it. This is by and large the world that we're living in. The world that we're living in, by which I mean society. This is kind of society at large. The matrix, if you will, built on the idea that we're separate from each other, we're separate from our source. We have to prove our worth. We have to earn value. And as we start waking up to the metaphysical realities and the spiritual implications, the energy of those truths starts to resonate within us, because we are inherently true. We are nature. We are what is. We are divine. So when we hear, I'm kind of using this metaphor of like hearing a tone, which is very applicable based on everything that we talked about in the metaphysical basics. We can understand that everything is energy and vibration, and energy and vibration can be understood in a similar way to how sound is understood. This is reasonable and applicable. So when something happens in our life and we hear the tone of truth, and it's different for everyone. Sometimes there's a book that you read, sometimes there's a person that you meet, a conversation that you have. A lot of times it's a really personally challenging time. Through great discomfort and personal challenge, somehow it's like the tone of truth is like a tuning fork, and that vibration starts to ring something within us. And I feel that this is only possible if we are open to it. Free will applies here. So we have to consent to the tone. We have to consent to any tone, even tones that are not rooted in truth. We consent to them by vibrating with them. We are in energetic alignment with the tones that we agree to, and that's how our free will works. We align ourselves energetically with any given tone. So in this matrix world that we're living in, we are, many of us are aligned to the tone of things that are false. And this is difficult to sustain. It's actually difficult to sustain. I feel like in some ways it is more difficult to sustain because it always has to seek to prove itself, because only the truth is true. And so anything that's rooted in falseness is this is where the insatiability of the ego comes from, because it's always trying to claim some value. It's always trying to, like, paradoxically prove its belief and how it sees things. It's trying to prove that energy of falseness. Good luck there. And simultaneously, like, disprove it, because those ideas that are built in falseness, like separateness, like scarcity, the inevitable conclusion there is ruin. It's death. So in this whole, like, tornado of the matrix that we're living in, that we're creating together, the, like, radio receivers that we are, the energetic beings that we are, we attune to those frequencies. And the frequencies of truth, I'm saying in some ways they are easier to be in attunement with, because we are true. And so it's like we can, it's in some ways it's inherent, it's natural to align with truth. It feels good. You know, it's like wearing a shoe that fits versus trying to make it work with a shoe that doesn't fit. However, it is easier to align with those energies of falseness from the perspective of habit. We've done it for so long. It is endorsed by authority, like religion, government, education systems. A lot of times there's in this whole false world of the matrix that we align to and create together, one of the hallmarks is, like, dichotomous thinking. It's like either you're a winner and I'm a loser, or I'm a winner and you're a loser. And it's like that kind of, like, dichotomous thinking is a cue that we're working with a belief that's based in falseness. That's something that I've learned. That tests out pretty well for me. And for the people who I speak to and my clients. But in that dichotomous thinking, there are winners and losers. And if you believe that there are winners and losers, then it makes sense to try to be a winner. And if you feel like you are a winner within that system, then you've got reason to be invested. You've got reason to be invested. And so some of these energies, even though they're false, they might be compelling because of habit, because of authority, which is both, it's like, it's condoning and it's also forbidding. A lot of things that are in alignment with truth have been forbidden throughout history. For example, knowing that we are one with nature. Many people, many women were tortured and killed for knowing that we are one with nature. And this legacy lives with us. We know about epigenetic trauma. We know about this. And this is in all of our cellular memory. So for that reason, for the forbidding from authorities, from the condoning of participating in the matrix from some of the same authorities, from that dichotomous reward of our investment in the matrix, and in that way we prefer it. Think that we will lose what we've gained. For that reason, it's easier to participate in the matrix. Just out of the habit and like limitation of the imagination, it's easier to participate in the matrix. Like we've seen it. Also, the authority of empiricism and sense-based reality testing. We've got a legacy of trusting empirical knowing and preferentially elevating empirical knowing as opposed to intuitive knowing, for example. So there's a lot of reasons why it can be felt as easier to align with false matrix-based beliefs. But our true nature is true and is nature, and in that way, it's always going to be a better fit. It's always going to be a better fit. So I've talked about this matrix that we're living in and that we create together. And it's interesting because, like, etymologically, matrix, think about it for a second. Ma, the root word ma in many languages, and the suffix trix. This is very, very feminine. This is feminine, this is maternal. Matrix is the womb that we inhabit. It's our world. And we created this world that we inhabit. And how wonderful that we are in this womb. I'm getting ahead of myself. In the next episode of Informational Basics, I do want to talk about creation. So we're going to be talking more about creating and feminine energy and womb magic and polarity and co-creation. So, you know what, I'm going to save it for next time, I think. So we've been creating this matrix. We've been living in this matrix. In some ways, it's comfortable. In some ways, it's difficult to leave. In other ways, it's the tone of truth is very compelling. The tone of truth is very compelling. So at a certain point in one's life, I believe that the revolution is inevitable. But who's to say which lifetime it might happen for any given person, for any given soul. And there is something happening these days to this cohort of incarnated souls where the tone is being heard. The tone is sounding and the tone is being heard, which means that we, this cohort of incarnated souls, we are choosing this. We are choosing this. We are choosing to align to the tone of truth. Because as truth, it is always present. So in that way, it is, and it has been always available. But this gridwork of false beliefs is like a cloud blocking the sun. The sun is still there. The sun is still warm. The sun is still shining. That hasn't changed. But the clouds obscure perception of that. So it's inevitable that the moment of hearing this tone happens in a soul's journey. All souls return. All souls return. It's inevitable that souls will, in one incarnation or another, the tone will be heard and agreed to, and this journey will happen. And currently on Earth right now, this journey is happening for very many people. It is happening for me. It's happening to many people that I speak to. And perhaps I have reason to believe that it is happening for you too. And I have reason to believe that it is important to talk about, and that by talking about it, we are supporting each other in our revolutionary journey. Because when we are speaking that tone and hearing that tone and witnessing that tone in co-resonance with each other, it has a magnifying and multiplying effect. And I'm going to talk more about that in the creation episode. So what happens is when we hear the tone, it starts to resonate within us, as of course it does. Of course it can only resonate within us because we are natural. We are natural, so it will resonate. And the interesting thing about truth, one of the interesting things about truth is that any point of truth has a relationship with every other point of truth. It's like if love is what comes into your heart, if that's part of the bell that's rung for you, the experience of love will teach you about abundance. It will teach you about gratitude, because all truth is relational, and also all truth is one. It's one. It's God. So all truth is relational. So when that bell rings and it resonates within you, it's not just one thing. It starts to shake other places in you too. It starts to just shake and move things. And as this new belief schema is starting to present itself within us, it challenges the beliefs that were there before. It challenges the beliefs that are there before. You start aligning to your worthiness. What are we going to do with all of those societal systems, with all of those deeply held beliefs that are based on our unworthiness, or having to prove our worthiness, or ranking each other in terms of some scale of perceived worthiness? It starts to challenge those things. And nobody said it would be easy. This is challenging stuff. And I feel like sometimes that's why this revolutionary journey is undertaken as the result of going through a challenge, because the challenges that we go through in life teaches us many things depending on the challenge. It can teach us that our expectations are not always or at all what we experience. And our ideas and like our our shoulds, like how we think things should be, they may not have anything to do with how things go. So it's like challenges shake our allegiance to, our blind allegiance to our belief systems. And that precedent, I think, then might pave the way for the necessary challenge of our belief systems and the release of the beliefs that can't coexist in the existence of truth. The moment of revolution means turnaround. And the moment of revolution is when we hear that tone and when it resonates within us and it starts to shift things and shake things and it starts to connect with other qualities of truth. It starts to inform itself within us and it challenges the old belief systems. And the revolutionary moment is the point at which we decide that the most rational thing to do, the most sane thing to do, maybe even the only thing that's not actively insane, is to turn around from the cul-de-sac that we've been cycling in, from the eddy that we're swimming in and getting nowhere. We turn around and flow with the stream. And this is happening for so many people now. So many people now are getting the bell ring, they're feeling the resonance, and they're feeling at that point, at that precipice of turning around. And like we've talked about in the metaphysical basics and spiritual implications episodes, one person's choice touches everything instantaneously. This is hugely significant. This is hugely significant because we are the ones that create our world. We are the ones who are co-creating our reality. And when you choose to turn around and step away from a reality that's based in falseness and lean into the unknown, lean into what you can feel into as true. And when I'm doing the same thing, and when we can witness each other, I believe amazing things can happen. And I'm excited to talk about creation next time. Thank you so much for your revolution. Thank you for your journey. Thank you for your courage.